What's up, guys? Good morning. It is Thursday, the third day of the most beautiful weather. Springtime, sunny, slightly warm even, I would say, weather. I think it's been about 70, 72, 75 degrees, depending on the exact time, for the last 3 days. It is almost 9 a.m. and my eyeballs are still adjusting to the light out here. It is nice and warm both inside and outside the greenhouse. I think outside is 67 degrees right now. I just checked before starting this video. I put a few more trays of plant seedlings out here the other day, including one that I seeded with amaranth and one with incredible swirl coreopsis, and then 2 different kinds of sunflowers. I waited this long until this close to the festival to start the sunflowers because sunflowers have a pretty deep taproot and they grow fairly fast. These are biodegradable bags, so when people get them, they won't have to take the plants out of the containers. They can just put these entire containers into the ground. With the peppers that I'm growing inside in these same bags, I've already seen multiple of them put their roots directly through the mesh, and I was a little bit worried that they wouldn't be able to get through it, and they're getting through it just fine. So I don't know if they'll break down and just dissolve basically over one season, but the roots will go through them at the very least. I'm getting pretty nervous about this festival coming up because I like making videos and I like talking to people, but at the same time I am a homebody and an introvert. I don't talk to a lot of people. I have a few friends and that's all I talk to basically. So just thinking about the fact that I'm potentially going to be speaking to a couple thousand people over the course of 2 days, just a few weeks from now, a little bit daunting. Just a little bit. That's also part of the reason I'm bringing my mommy with me though, so I think it'll be fine. It's going to be quite the task to fit all of this and all of what's inside, including the tomatoes and peppers, into 2 vehicles that aren't very large. I think we're going to have to custom build a shelf to split the back of my mom's vehicle in half height-wise so that we can have extra layers for the plants, because it's just nonsensical for me and my mom to take all these plants and drive 2 hours, and then my mom to have to drive back, pick up more plants, and then come back. It's just not a very viable option, so we're going to do our best to fit as many things as we can into the vehicle. I've also been expanding my sourdough starter because I'm selling sourdough breads at the festival as well. So last week when I made sourdough, I kept 135 grams of the starter in one jar, and then I put, I think, 85 grams of the starter in another jar, and I made sourdough yesterday, and I kept those jars how they were and added another jar of fed starter that was 48 grams or something like that. So every time I make bread, I'm just going to make more starter instead of discarding any, so that I can use a crap ton of it to make breads to sell. Let me turn you around here and show you the sprouts we've got going on. These right here, there's a tiny one coming up there, multiple up here. These are lavender queen butterfly peas. These are not sweet peas, these are butterfly peas. So those aren't sweet peas. Sweet peas are toxic flowers that are very beautiful and smell amazing, but you can't eat them. And I tend to prefer everything that you can eat. Most of the flowers that I grow are edible. Of course, I grow a lot of vegetables. I even try to choose vegetables and things that have greens that are also edible, like cucumber varieties that have nice flavored leaves and things like that. So instead of a sweet pea, which is toxic to both people and animals, I grow the butterfly pea, and this one is the lavender queen. So it is a purple flower, and it is edible, and it is a natural food dye, so you can put it in your tea or in something else that you want to dye, like frosting or something, say, and it will turn it a beautiful lavender purple color. And I've not personally drank any of the tea or done any of the experiments with the flowers to see things change color, but that's something we can do together. And then this here next to it is Goblin Gaillardia. Oh, we got 2 little babies right here in the Chinese chives. Those are the first ones coming up, but this is a whole tray of Chinese chives and common chives. Then, oh, looks like we got a sprout right here. This is Love in a Mist Midnight Nigella. I've never grown this before, but it is really gorgeous, the packaging at least, so I wanted to try it. It's a very whimsical looking flower. And then over here we have Italian oregano with the second smallest seedlings I've ever seen, only recently second to chamomile, which I'll show you here momentarily. There's some more. Here's a comparison. Oregano seeds are very small, and the seedlings are just as small. So right here in this tray is the Munstead lavender. Sadly, I left the lavender in the fridge too long doing its cold stratification, and a lot of it actually started to sprout in the fridge, so a lot of the sprouts weren't really viable. I tried to transplant as many as I could, but they were just really weak from being in the fridge with no light. So I'll show you the ones that do look good. So we've got nothing, 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 and I will reseed these ones that have nothing. Here's one little lavender baby, two little lavender babies, nothing, 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 nothing. Is that lavender or grass? I think that's one little lavender baby, nothing, 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 and one little lavender baby. So I'll have to reseed most of this tray with something else. I'm not sure what I'll do. Something that grows faster, something like zinnias or cosmos would work. Or sunflowers. I could do more sunflowers, just dependent on what I want to start, really. Most of the time, I love almost all animals. But why do they do this to me? The slug ate the tops of my zinnia. Of this one also. He's like, oh, let me eat that. Oh, let me eat that. Cool, I'm done. Thanks, I appreciate it. And then left. Oh no, I guess he also chomped on this one. That's so rude, man. Why you gotta do that? Ugh. I've only found one slug in here with my eyes, but obviously there's been at least one. Maybe I'll pull these a little bit away from the wall so that if he is climbing up the wall, he can't get directly on it. But I'm sure he's climbing up through the bottom. But anyway, these are Queen Lime Blush zinnias that I now only have 4 of instead of 6. Rude. And then we've got Peppermint Stick zinnias. These are the ones that look like they have blood splatters on them, which I love. And these ones on this side are Aztec Sunset zinnias. This entire container is English thyme. A couple of them did not do any germination, or maybe it didn't germinate yet. We've got thyme there, there, here, little ones over here. So those are doing good. None of these seedlings were up yesterday, as far as I remember. We've got Orchid Flame Nasturtium here on the end. Nasturtium seedlings are super cool looking. I love their leaf shapes. We have a couple more of those popping up soon. And then we've got the Alaska Mix Variegated Nasturtium in these 2 rows. None of those popping up yet. We've got Dwarf Rainbow Sweet Alyssum, and some of those are popping up. Tiny little babies. Yeah, that one's still really fresh. That one came up overnight, I think. And then we have Copper Red Strawflower on these ones, and 4 of those have popped up. This entire tray here is Triple Curled Parsley, and we're still in the middle of germination, so we've got a handful here and there of some already popping up, and some just barely above the soil with the seed cap still on, so those will be up and out shortly. This tray I just seeded last night, so we are nowhere close to germination on that, but it is the Coral Fountain Amaranth and the Incredible Swirl Coreopsis. Did I just find the slug's lair? Was it you? Did you eat my seedlings? It's rude of you, sir, to eat things that aren't for you. In fact, they're not even for me. Sorry, dude. only see that one for now. This over here against the wall is 2 kinds of basil. We have a common Genovese basil. It's an Italian heirloom. Everybody uses it. If you buy basil at the store, it's probably Genovese basil. And then we've got Everleaf Emerald basil, which has already started germinating. And that is going to be gorgeous. Love that. Here we have Moroccan cilantro in half of the tray, so these 9, and then slow bolt cilantro over here in these 9. I guess the Moroccan cilantro takes a little longer to germinate, but the seeds were slightly bigger, so that makes sense. Here we've got cut and come again zinnias that this frickin' slug has ruined a bunch of. There was zinnias there. There was zinnias there. 3 zinnias there. 2 there. 1 there. 1 there. I'm definitely going to have to seed more zinnias. That's friggin' rude. He only left these. I guess you can have 2 of your own zinnias. Wow. How nice of you, Mr. Slug. Okay, this one here, this whole tray, is Rosy Rosemary. And those are the seedlings right there. And there. And over here. If those are the only seedlings that have come up, then we don't have very good germination here, because I put at least 3 seeds in each container, and only 3 of the containers have any seeds popping up. But we're still waiting. It can take up to like 21 days, I think, so I'm not going to throw them out or anything. They're just going to sit here and hopefully germinate. That makes me so mad. I'm reseeding those so quickly. Oh my goodness. Rude. These in the front are another tray that I seeded just yesterday. So these are Hopi Black Dye Sunflowers and Lemon Queen Sunflowers. This tray is of 2 kinds of flowers that I've never grown. These are Bells of Ireland. And I'll put a picture up on the screen because I'm not sure. I've never even heard of them before I started growing them. So I'll put a picture in case you guys haven't heard of them either. And then on this side, it's Black Knight Scabiosa, also known as pincushion flower. So all of the Scabiosa is doing good. Maybe a little bit leggy, but not too bad. Whereas the Bells of Ireland, it was my bad. They should look like this. All of them should look like that. But I started this tray in the house, and I had them set to the side of where I have my actual grow tent and stuff, so they weren't directly under light. And I guess these 4 germinated, and they went, I think, a full 24 hours without having any light, so they got really, really leggy. That is just my fault. I'll probably keep the 3 really ridiculously leggy ones and hope that more sprout, because those do take quite a while to sprout. I don't think I have time to start more and them be worth selling by the time the festival comes. Ah! Oh my gosh, I'm so excited for this. So in this tray, we have 2 different kinds, or 2 different colors of primrose. And I didn't realize when purchasing the primrose seeds, I only realized upon seeding them and reading the back of the seed packet that they can take up to 45 days to germinate and sprout. And I should have planted them earlier if I had realized that, but I didn't. So I went ahead and planted them anyway, because even if they're not ready in time for the festival, I can just have them, or I can sell them to people that I know, or I can just put them in my own garden. So it's not going to really be that big of a problem. But one sprouted already. So this right here is actually just grass. Ignore that. So none of these Wanda mix colors have sprouted yet. But these are Victoriana Gold Laced Black, and they are gorgeous. I'll put a picture up on the screen. But we've got one little sproutlet right over here. That's awesome. You're ahead of the game, bud. I appreciate that. Hopefully the others will follow suit. Okay, we are almost done with these. Here we have German chamomile. That's the medicinal tea chamomile, the traditional one. And it has really great germination. Quite a few plants in some of the pots, like that's quite a few, and that's a lot. And then other of them look like this. And I'm not sure if those are like just sitting on top of the soil or if they're gonna grow or what. So I may be able to take a couple seedlings from one of the other ones and put it into the empty one. But that's the only empty one, so I mean, it's not gonna be that terrible even if I don't. Oh, the slug! I could go to war with this slug, you don't even understand. So I just lifted up this tray to check for slugs, and there's this crazy looking spider. Don't love that, but I'll leave him in here since he eats bugs. I don't know what kind it is, so I'm not going to touch it or anything. Not that I would usually touch a spider. Go under the other trays, bud. Yeah, that's a good little hole for you. But I also found another slug. You shall receive the same sentence as your brethren. Death. Okay, now carefully, without stepping on that spider that's hiding, I wanted to turn this around so I can actually read the tags. So this one is lemon balm and catnip. None of which, oh no, this is catnip. There's a few sprouts of that. That's cool. So not a lot of it has come up yet. This is actually grass, but that's lemon balm and catnip. Oh, there's another one of those spiders. Or maybe it's his... Oh, no, that's a spider. I was going to say maybe it's his exoskeleton, but nope, that was another one. And another slug. How rude. Do I feel bad about this? A little bit. Is it going to make me not do it? No. Slug may have munched on this cilantro. But back to showing you what we've got. We've got another kind of pansy here, of which we have no sprouts in yet. And then we have double click blend cosmos right here. 1, 2 of which looks like it was eaten by a slug. This one has another one sprouting up though, so that should be good. Oh, there was 2 in here. And then we've got Seashells Blend Cosmos, Apricot Lemonade Cosmos. Some have been eaten of that too. I'll have to plant more Cosmos and Zinnias as far as I can tell. That's everything going on in here. So far, quite a few seedlings getting pretty fluffy in some spots. And slugs trying to be ravenous little jerks. Not a fan. Not a fan. Okay guys, I don't have a lot of time this morning. Mostly I just wanted to say, hey, what's up? And check in. Show you guys a little bit of what was going on in the greenhouse with my seedlings. And then, oh, these right here are my onions. They need to be planted into the garden. I just didn't make time this week. So they've been sitting on my little garden table. I'm just going to show you a few things around. Garden out here. So I planted out quite a few kale plants. That's what all these are. I think one of them is actually sprouting broccoli, but mostly kale. And I didn't harden them off first. So they were looking a little bit rough because I didn't harden them off first. But I just took them out of the house because I had a little bit of an aphid problem, and the little tiny baby kales were really holding on to those aphids, as well as I didn't have very much room inside, light-wise or floor space-wise, to be honest. So I just thought it'd be better to bring them out here and chance some of them not living. And some of them didn't live. Probably 4 or 5 of them died out of the 12 maybe that I planted. I do still have a few right here in this tray on the table, so I'm doing good on kale, I think. I mixed up some fertilizer and fertilized my garlic the day before yesterday. So hopefully any of the yellowing that had started will stop. I'll fertilize it again probably in another 2 weeks because that was the first time I fertilized it. Here's a perfect example. This kale is super dead, and this kale is super not. And I planted them at the same time and did not harden off either of them. We've got a lot of pansies blooming. Oh! Quite a few of those blue ones that I just showed you blooming. Those are store-bought ones. I got them at Hirsch in the fall. But this, I started these from seed. These are the Brushstrokes Viola pansies, and those have like the smaller flowers. Oh, those are so cute. I'm so happy. I am thinking more and more that this might be either like a zinnia or a sunflower. Maybe a sunflower. It's such a little strong seedling. It makes me think that like it's not just some grass or weed or something. I did have a sunflower in my garden. It was probably 6 feet from this spot, so it is very likely that a seed could have gotten over here. I also had zinnias just right over there, so it's also very likely that a zinnia seed could have gotten over here, but I'm gonna leave it and we're gonna find out. In this container, I had been growing elephant garlic, but I think that it got too cold over the winter time when it got freezing down into the negative degrees even. And this container isn't too shallow, but it's not very wide, and the outside, this is actually a metal container, and metal allows more cold through than plastic does. So even though my garlics did fine in those plastics over there, my regular garlics, I think this one might have just gotten too cold unless it sprouts up again. It was right here, 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 and somewhere in this area. There was just 4 of them in here, and they had little sprouts, and I've dug in the soil a little bit to see if I see any foliage, but I don't. So I just hope those aren't dead. Hopefully they'll grow. Alright guys, I don't have very long until I have to be at work. So let's go inside and look at those plants, and I'm gonna make some coffee. I noticed the other day that my canna lily started putting up a new leaf. I had chopped all these ones off because it had spider mites real bad. And it's been warm outside, so when I noticed the new leaf was unfurling, I put it outside, and now it's looking good. So here is the plant room. I think a little less full than the last time I showed it, but also different. We go over here. Turn the light on, and that turns the light on. And this one is just a plug-in. And this one is a button. Okay, so the first thing that you may notice in this room is not all of these plants have perfect availability for light. I understand that. Quite a few of these tomatoes, which is all of these, will be moving out into the greenhouse fairly soon. Peppers are less cold tolerant, so if we have some freak day where it gets to be 30 degrees, the peppers will be a lot worse off than the tomatoes would. So that's why the tomatoes are gonna go outside and not the peppers. But all of this white powder that you see everywhere, it's not cocaine, I promise. Or do I? No, it's diatomaceous earth. This is it here. It is food grade, non-toxic, organic, pest control. So I had a little bit of an aphid problem and a tiny bit of a spider mite problem. I also had just a few fungus gnat issues. The fungus gnats were mostly being taken care of by the little sticky traps, but the aphids and spider mites don't get on the sticky traps. They don't care about that. I also had been using neem oil, but neem oil you have to spray directly onto the aphids and spider mites for it to kill them. Once it dries, it doesn't do anything. You have to continuously spray it over and over, and it's just hard to keep the population down when I have to work and also do everything else that I need to do and take care of myself. So I decided to just go the route of diatomaceous earth. So this has been on there for a couple of days, and hopefully the aphids are drying out and dying. Hopefully. So this is also called fossil shell flour. So it's basically ground up fossils and crustacean shells, into a very fine powder. When exposed to creatures, not all creatures, but many creatures, dries them out to a point of death. It basically dehydrates them to death. And do I feel great about that? No. But do I feel great about not selling people aphid-covered plants? Yeah. Do I also feel great about not having little bugs in my house? Absolutely. So these are all just different kinds of peppers. And then the individuals on this table are all just different kinds of peppers. And then we've got a couple peppers down here on the floor. These ones are here on the floor because this tray has like a bucket under it to hold it up. And when it's not there, the peppers are there. So these ones up here are tomatoes. We've got Brad's Atomic Grape. We've got Orange Hat Dwarf tomatoes. Those are going to be great. This over here is just kind of my little houseplant corner. Usually I would be using multiple other locations, but they are full. So I rotate these. I'll like put this spotted one where this one is and rotate them around to try and give them the best light options. I bought this at Walmart for $5. I almost bought a plant that was on sale for $10. But then I was like, but this has 2 plants and it's only $5. That means I'm only paying $2.50 per plant. That's perfect. So I got it. Girl mathed my way into that one. I'm gonna put it on this chair over here so it has kind of light. So not this Tuesday that just passed, but the Tuesday before that was my birthday, and I got a few new plants because what else would I buy myself for my birthday? This one here, I did not buy. My friend propagated it from her own plant and gave it to me as part of my present. I don't actually know what exact kind it is. If somebody does know, please let me know. I think it is some kind of philodendron, maybe? And then this one here is a philodendron, 100%. It is a philodendron pink princess. Those are actually really popular plants right now in general. A lot of them are pretty expensive if you go to like online sellers and things that sell plants that aren't like box stores. There are at least 2 plants in there, and I only paid $7 for this, even in its fancy little pot. It was on sale. So this one, technically this one, even though it was a gift, and this one I picked to buy as my own birthday present. This one actually feels really cool. It's like very thick leathery leaves with like almost a little bit fuzzy on the top, but just barely. I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out to the greenhouse this morning, but I don't want slugs to eat them. So I'm gonna put them on that one metal shelf that is in the greenhouse rather than on the ground, so that I can put these peppers back up there. Alright guys, well I only have about 20 minutes to finish getting ready for work and make my coffee and pack my lunch, so I better get to going on that. I just really couldn't resist hanging out with you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this little plant update and talk about the festival coming up, and I hope I can see you guys at the festival. I really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for being here and watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one.